Welcome back, everyone. The National Assembly has embarked on the amendment of the Nigerian Constitution. The exercise has progressed at a very crucial period in our history as a nation, when the clamor for the restructuring of the country is coming up again and again. Do we really need to fix the Constitution as it stands right now? Well, some say it was foisted. The 1999 Constitution was one that was foisted on us by the military. Or do we need to overhaul the document, which some have criticized as perhaps the bedrock of some of the major challenges that we face currently in Nigeria? Well, joining me to discuss this matter, eminent Nigerians here, is an elder statesman and historian, Professor Banji Akintoye. Many thanks for coming on the program.
Thank you.
And also Mr. G.T. Ogunye, a lawyer based in Lagos, and Mr. Rotimi Fashakin is a chieftain of the All Progressives Congress. Many thanks, elder statesmen and gentlemen. Many thanks for coming on the program.
Thank you.
Let me begin with you with some sense of history, and which of course we need right now. A lot of people have talked about the issue of the 1966 or 1963 Constitution, which the coming of the military, the truncating of the democratic process in 1966 made the mess of that Constitution. A lot of people are talking about it. Does it look like what we can adopt in the real sense of it? Or do you think that we can work with what we have currently as a structure of the country?
The answer really is that we as a country, we need to know the type of country we have. Every country has its own fundamental structure. The country that we have, Nigeria, is not a nation. It's a country of many nations. There are more than 300 of such nations. The important thing for us is to find a structure that will be enshrined in our Constitution, that would make it possible for all our nations to live harmoniously together in the same country, that would confer stability on that country, and that will provide for a productive society, so that we will not all be descending to poverty as we have been doing steadily for decades in spite of all the oil money. So we need a very radical change in the Constitution that we have now, in the structure of our country. That's what we mean when we say restructure. You cannot have many nations in one country and have a central government ruling all of them. What you will have is what we are having now. One, disunity, instability, conflict, poverty, increasing poverty all the time. People say, oh, we can we can deal with corruption. You cannot deal with corruption as we are now. It's not possible. The reason is that all the resources that are gathered in the center create a panacea for corruption.
All right, because you're a historian, perhaps just a student in this sense, but if you look at our constitution development from Macpherson to Clifford to Littleton and up until the independent constitution and up until now, what would you say is majorly the major problem in the constitution development in Nigeria, and where did we get it wrong? Because we must look as a people, where did we get it wrong before we start looking at how can we get it right?
Okay, the British who created Nigeria, when they knew they had to leave Nigeria, decided, okay, we will make this country a federation. They didn't have enough patience, they didn't have our welfare at heart enough to go deep and make it a proper federation. So they just broke it into three regions. And so, but even in the context of those three regions, they provided that each constituent member of the federation, that is each region, will control its own resources, develop its own resources for its own people, and generally be the center. Each region will be the center of dynamic development, so that there will be increasing prosperity in the country, and there was as a result of that. And our founding fathers accepted that and held conference after conference in the 1950s and finally established it by 1957. It is the same constitution that we went into independence with. It is the same constitution that we turned into a republic in 1963. It's the same thing. We cannot live under a constitution that arrogates all power to the federal government, to the central government. We cannot without causing trouble for ourselves.
Mr. Fashakin, the politicians in the National Assembly have embarked on the Constitution amendment. From what Professor has just said now, is it commonsensical for us to do an amendment of the Constitution, considering what we have on our hands and a structural defect like he has described?
Sheon, thank you very much. Sorry, viewers, thank you. I must say beforehand that I'm just recovering from cold, so my voice is a bit husky, so you pardon me. Let me say clearly that I like what the eminent professor has told us, giving us a cursory look at history, the historical facts about Nigeria and our evolution, into nationhood thus far. Yes, by the 1963 Constitution, we were we experimented on parliamentary system.